Hey everyone, Beth here for Computerized Accounting. Sorry for the late post of the payroll video for the solution for the assignment. I created it and I guess I forgot to post it. Alright, so let's have a look. Okay, so we all know that the solution key for the first bit for the actual exercise, the activity is always there for you to check. And then of course we have the instructions for the assignment and your upload spot, and then the assignment for answer key has been posted, and this video will appear right underneath of it. Okay, so let's go in and have a look. Download and open. Okay, here we go. I'll come back to the journal entries, but what I've done is I've actually created, there's 30 journal entries that will appear from the assignment, and it's 1 point per entry, except for a spot where I've actually only put it to 0.5, and it has to do with the pay remittances. Instead of you losing 5 points for not having the remittances there, I've only taken off 2.5 points. Okay, so in order to get full points for your updated trial balance uploading your trial balance for November 30th, if it didn't match the solution key that I gave you to always compare that activity to, then you only received good, or 0.6. It has to actually match perfectly for you to get the full point. Upload the trial balance for December 31st. That is the amount it should have been. However, it did not take off points if it didn't match perfectly, because of course where you're going to lose your points is in the actual journal entry itself. So as long as you uploaded the December 31st trial balance from the work that you did, you got full points for that. Handy did earn $28 an hour. Question 2 actually threw a lot of people off because of the way the remittance is done. If you think, when you do your payroll, it creates a CPP payable, an EI payable, and an income tax payable, okay? And those actually appear on your trial balance or on your balance sheet. And then when you go to pay the remittance, if you go back to the beginning part of your chapter where you had to do your first remittances, what it does is it actually takes those balances off of your balance sheet or off your trial balance, creates an accounts payable, and then from that accounts payable, it pays it out in check form. So in order to find out how much is owed to Receiver General December 31st, you had to actually go to your trial balance or to your balance sheet to find the balances in those 3 payable accounts, as opposed to just looking under accounts payable for Receiver General. And question number 3, it's weird. This is not a SAGE issue, but a SAGE education issue, as in this chapter has a flaw. So depending on where you looked for Lars's net pay, you could have had just over 11,000 or just over 43,000. So I accepted both. Threw me off at first. I think a couple of you received an email from me, and then I figured it out, and then I just said, no worries, I figured it out. So in case you're wondering if you got the email from me and you're not quite sure what was going on, that's what it was. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so there's your first trial balance with the amounts, and as you can see, I will go back up to the payables. So here you can see EI payable, CPP payable, and income tax payable. That's the amount that was from your first trial balance. If we look at the second trial balance, you can see here EI, CPP, and income tax. Those three added together gave you a little over $8,000 that's actually showed up as due to the Receiver General. Whoops. And if you looked at your balance sheet, you can see here as well, it showed under your current liabilities, because it has to be paid within 30 days, the $8277.62. All right, so coming down here, this is one spot where you could have found the net pay for Lars, and the other one was actually on your main screen. You could see how much was paid, and that's where the 43 was. Okay, so let's look at the journal entries. Okay. So again, some individuals are still sending the journal entries without clicking the box that says keep corrections. So because of that, a few of you actually lost points because the original pay for Art, was it Art? Yeah, the original pay for Art didn't show up, and neither did the correction, and those were two required journal entries because you created it, and then you had to delete it, and then you had to add on the vacation pay. So unfortunately, some points were lost there. The first one was parents of students, and this was a cash entry for revenue. Then we had global liability for an insurance expense. And then we got Morty and Jerome and Mila and Art. Okay, and those were, the way the company does it is these employees are paid twice a month, and then the salaried employees are paid once a month. And the textbook gave you spots where you had to add in tuition fees and had to change what their wages were. And as long as you followed those to the T, completely, then it would it would come out to the right amount. If you're finding that you had the wrong amounts, go back to your textbook and compare it to what you have in there, and you will see that there is differences. Okay, so here is where we had to pay remittances. I'm going to just get you to hold 1 second here. Okay, so here I've actually pulled up the payments journal and have one of the remittances for the Receiver General. Okay, so you can see here it says pay remittances as opposed to pay invoices. And you can see down here that the remittances is CPP, EI, and tax, and the payment amount. So, and if you go here, you can see that it actually creates two entries. Okay, it takes it out of the payables account for EI, CPP, and income tax, puts it into the accounts payable, and then from the accounts payable, it pays out the cash and creates a check for the Receiver General. Okay, so that's what needed to be done for all of those entries. And if you want to have a look where it explains how to do this, you can go back to making payroll tax remittances on page 287. And then that shows how to do these remittances as opposed to just creating this entry here, accounts payable and the bank. Okay, so let's go back. No. Oops, I guess I want yes. And I'm going to delete or close. And no, I don't want to back up because I didn't change anything, and now I'll come back to my entries. So if for some reason you didn't have the first part for the payroll tax remittances, and you only had the second half, I did not take 5 points off. I only took off 2.5, even though it was 5 entries that you would have got incorrect. Okay, so there's the reversal for Art. And then the recreation of the original check with his vacation pay on it. And then we had a telephone and a hydro bill, just so you'd remember how to do payables. And then where it's the end of the month, we had to create paychecks for everyone, especially the salary. However, the person that we did not need to create one for, because he was on vacation and did not earn a salary, was Art. And a few of you did pay him again, which I'm sure he's very thankful. However, you did lose a point for creating that entry, because he was not to be paid. Okay, so then we had another one, revenue from interest. That would have been in your accounts receivable. Then we had some bank charges and some withdrawals from our bank account by the bank. So we had to go in and create a journal entry. Then we had to create revenue from school fees, which is an accounts receivable. A few of you actually only had that as 300 instead of 300,000. And of course you lost points for that. And then for the inventory, another journal entry where you were to debit the used or the expense accounts and credit the asset accounts. And as I mentioned, instead of this office supplies, which is the 1280, it should have been property taxes expense. And I mentioned that in an announcement. Hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.